You're right to call that out. To hit a 1,450-word target, we need to move beyond the what and dive deep into the how, the psychological mechanics of her branding, the historical context of sports villains, and a play-by-play breakdown of the business moves. Here is the full-length script. The Angel Reese Blueprint: How to Become the WNBA's Biggest Villain. Scene 1. The Cold Open. In the world of professional sports, there is a traditional script for the female athlete. You know the one. It's written in the ink of respectability politics. Be grateful, be humble, smile for the cameras, play the game, but don't disrupt the peace. For decades, the WNBA and women's college basketball were marketed through the lens of wholesome competition. But in April 2023, Angel Reese took that script, looked the world in the eye, and set it on fire. Most people saw a controversial gesture. They saw a villain born in real time. But if you look closer, past the headlines and the heated Facebook comments, you'll see something much more calculated. This wasn't a lapse of judgment. It was a launch pad. You're looking at a masterclass in modern branding. Today, we're breaking down the Angel Reese Blueprint. We're going to look at how a 6'3" forward from Baltimore didn't just survive the villain label. She used it to build a multi-million-dollar empire, revitalize a league, and become the most marketable force in women's basketball history. This is about how to own the hate until the hate starts paying your bills. Scene 2. The Anatomy of a Moment. The score clock of the 2023 LSU versus Iowa National Championship game ticking down. 15 seconds left. To understand the villain arc, we have to go back to the moment the world turned. LSU versus Iowa, the most watched women's college basketball game in history. On one side, you had Caitlin Clark, the golden girl with the logo threes. On the other, Angel Reese, the Bayou Barbie who played with a chip on her shoulder the size of Maryland. When Reese followed Clark around the court, waving her hand in front of her face and pointing to her ring finger, the internet fractured. The vitriol was immediate. Critics called it classless. They called it unsportsmanlike. But here is the nuance people missed. Caitlin Clark had done the exact same gesture earlier in the tournament. The difference? The reaction. This moment exposed a massive double standard in how we view aggression and confidence in female athletes. And this is where the blueprint starts. Step 1. Identify the friction. Reese realized that no matter what she did, she was going to be judged differently. Instead of trying to shrink herself to fit the golden girl mold, she leaned into the friction. She realized that being the antagonist provided something likability never could. Absolute, unfiltered attention. Scene 3. The refusal to retreat. Most PR firms would have spent the night of the championship drafting an apology, something about the heat of the moment and respect for the opponent. That is the standard safe play. But the safe play doesn't build a revolution. Reese sat at that podium and said, "I don't fit the narrative. I'm too hood. I'm too ghetto, but I'm a champion." By refusing to back down, she accomplished two things. First, she solidified her core base. She became a symbol for anyone who has ever felt too much or out of place. And second, she forced her detractors to keep talking. Every time a talk show host spent 10 minutes debating her class, they were providing her with millions of dollars in free earned media. In the attention economy, outrage is the most powerful currency. Angel Reese didn't just spend that currency, she invested it. She understood that if she apologized, the story would die. If she stood her ground, the story became a saga. Scene 4. The business of polarization. Let's talk about the cold, hard math of being a villain. Between the 2023 championship and the 2024 WNBA draft, Angel Reese's valuation skyrocketed. She wasn't just an athlete, she was a platform. Why do brands love a polarizing figure? It seems counterintuitive. Don't brands want someone everyone likes? Not anymore. In 2026, brands want engagement. If a likable athlete posts a product, people might scroll past it with a smile. But if a villain posts that same product, the comment section becomes a war zone. Half the people are there to support her, the other half are there to hate watch. To an algorithm, both of those groups look exactly the same. They both count as high engagement. When Reebok looked to relaunch their basketball division, they didn't want a safe space. They wanted a disruptor. Shaquille O'Neal, who knows a thing or two about being a dominant, polarizing force, saw in Angel exactly what the brand needed. Edge. She became the face of the Bayou Barbie brand, a perfect marketing contradiction. She wore the long lashes, the pink aesthetics, and the glamorous hair, but she played with a brutality that left opponents bruised. That glamour versus gritty duality is a marketer's dream. It allows her to sell luxury fashion in the morning and basketball shoes in the afternoon. Scene 5. The WNBA transition. The villain goes pro. The biggest question following Angel Reese was, can she do it in the pros? The villain arc is easy to pull off in college when you're older and stronger than the competition, but the WNBA is a league of grown women. The critics were waiting for her to fail. They wanted the humbling moment. They wanted to see her get bullied on the block. But this leads us to step 2 of the blueprint. The stats must outrun the noise. A villain who loses is just a nuisance. A villain who wins is a superstar. Angel Reese didn't just survive her rookie year in Chicago, she redefined it. She started putting up double-doubles at a rate the league had never seen. She broke the record for consecutive double-doubles. She became an offensive rebounding machine, a vacuum for the ball. Every time she grabbed a board over 3 defenders, she was silencing a critic. She proved that the Bayou Barbie wasn't a costume, it was a uniform. Her performance turned the villain narrative into a competitor narrative. You can hate her Tosh talk, but you cannot argue with 20 rebounds. Performance is the only thing that makes a villain valid. Scene 6. The rivalry engine. Every great hero needs a villain. Magic had Bird. Ali had Frazier. The WNBA desperately needed a rivalry that felt personal. By embracing the villain role, Angel Reese gave the WNBA the one thing it had been missing: stakes. When the Chicago Sky played the Indiana Fever, it wasn't just a basketball game, it was a cultural event. It was a clash of styles, personalities, and fan bases. This is the rivalry engine. Angel understood that by playing the antagonist to Caitlin Clark's protagonist, she was elevating both of them. She wasn't just a player, she was a must-watch character. The ratings for their matchups shattered records. She leaned into it. When she took a hard foul or made a pointed comment in a press conference, she wasn't being bitter, she was being the draw. She understood that the league doesn't just grow through good basketball, it grows through good stories. And every good story needs someone to wear the black hat. Scene 7. The cultural impact and the cost. We have to talk about the weight of this blueprint, because while it looks like a genius marketing play from the outside, it comes with a massive personal cost. Angel Reese has been the target of more online vitriol than almost any athlete of her generation. She's dealt with racism, sexism, and death threats. There is a psychological tax to being the person the world loves to criticize. But here is where the villain becomes a leader. Angel has been vocal about the fact that she takes the hits so the next generation doesn't have to. She's broadening the acceptable range of behavior for Black women in sports. By being unapologetic, she's creating a path for the girl in Baltimore or Chicago who wants to be loud, who wants to wear the lashes, and who wants to talk her talk without being told she's not a role model. Angel Reese is redefining what a role model looks like. A role model isn't someone who never makes a mistake, it's someone who never lets the world tell them who they are. Scene 8. The legacy of the bad girl. As we look at the trajectory of Angel Reese's career, we see a shift. The villain label is starting to peel away, revealing something else: the icon. She has successfully navigated the most difficult pivot in branding. She went from being the girl who did the gesture to the force that changed the league. She showed that you don't have to be likable to be valuable. In fact, in the modern era, value comes from being unforgettable. The Angel Reese Blueprint is a lesson for anyone in the digital age. 1. Own your friction. Don't hide the parts of you that people find too much. 2. Never apologize for your excellence. 3. Build a brand that is a contradiction, the Barbie and the Beast. 4. Let the work do the talking. Scene 9. The outro. Angel Reese walking off the court, waving to a cheering crowd. Fade to black. Angel Reese didn't become the WNBA's biggest villain because she's a bad guy. She became the villain because she refused to be a side character in someone else's story. She decided that she was going to be the lead, no matter what the critics had to say about the script. In 2026, the WNBA is more popular than it has ever been. The arenas are full, the jerseys are sold out, and the villain is one of the most profitable athletes on the planet. So, the next time you see her wave her hand or point to her ring finger, remember, you're not just watching a game, you're watching